Okay, this is my other video. And I apologize for looking like this and talking like this, but I just got back from work, so I'm pretty tired. Alright, now let me tell you about my teenage years. You know, we were all having sex at that time, and some of them I don't think were having sex necessarily with people who were underage like themselves. So I don't think. Okay, so my argument for the age of consent being lowered to at least 16. I mean, I don't know. That's not a real number. Um, but is 18 too high? I mean, uh, since you're not innocent at that age, shouldn't you be able to make that decision without people going to jail? Because, and I know there's a gender double standard, but if it would have happened to me when I was 16 and I had a crush on like my teacher or my neighbor who was like in her 40s, or any woman who was an adult and way older than I was, if we ended up doing it, I don't think she should go to jail. I don't think anybody should get in trouble. I think you should be legally allowed to consent at 16. And I would have loved, I know that would have been the best night of my life, but you know, some people might be like, you're just saying that because it didn't happen to you. Again, I'm gonna try to stay as open-minded as possible about this, but I think it would have been paradise. The gender double standard would say, okay, so teenage guy falls in love with his teacher who's like in her 40s. They ended up doing it, and it's the best thing that could have ever happened to that kid. And but if it's a 40-something-year-old teacher, you should watch out from him if you're a 16-year-old girl, because he's a predator. Again, I believe that double standard. I mean, I may be a bad guy. It may sound sexist, and I don't mean to be, but it should be equal. I mean, in the law. So if you're a 16-year-old girl, you should be allowed to consent. I mean, and then again, not just somebody in their but what about a 16-year-old who wants to date a 20-year-old? I mean, I know it seems creepy, but it's 4 years of difference. 4 years. It's not that unusual. Um, just to save people from going to jail or establishing that, you know, we don't know exactly how how much people need to be protected based on age. Uh, the drinking age, and if every drug were legal, I would say drugs, but the drinking age, I know many people, and they were my friends who drank at like even 14, and yes, a lot of them did go crazy because alcohol was not available. Like, it was not easy to get. Obviously, they had to ask somebody to buy it for them, or they raided their parents' alcohol cabinet and they binge drank. But there were other people who, yeah, you know, were moderate at that, and they did not turn out to be alcoholics. It didn't impact their lives. And everywhere else in the world, the drinking age is 18, like in a lot of places, obviously, not everywhere. And I think that's just fine. I mean, but 16, you can read, you can look up information, and that is the thing also about sex. Okay, what is the the age of consent? What is it expected to do? It's expected to protect young people who don't know who they are, um, kind of, and older people. It is kind of the mere fact that they're older kind of provides a sense of power. Like, if it's your teacher, for example, or there's a certain expectation that adults or older people are in to protect the youth, kind of, in simple terms. So obviously, the law was designed to protect people from getting taken advantage of, coercion, and all these things that are obviously good. Um, but what if they consent? What if it's two people saying yes? I don't know. Is there something wrong in the head of women, for example, who fall in love with their students? Sometimes. And guys who, you know, do it with their, or want to do it with their teen students? Yes, I might say yes sometimes, or maybe most. See, the sex is double standard. So I don't think you're that innocent at 16. I wasn't. And but okay, so here goes politics. I mean, voting. I mean, I'm making the argument that you should be an adult at 16, but I personally, and I was late. I wasn't informed about politics. Didn't read. Didn't know what I was talking about that much until I was like 19, and when I started investigating. So are you gonna let me vote? I mean, I don't know. You let people vote at 18. At 18, I was still kind of unaware. I mean, Obama was in 2008. I was 18, so I was happy that he won back then. But I didn't really know what he. Anyway, his campaign promises were not what he. Okay, this is another video, but I didn't know anything, so. I don't know about voting, and I don't know about sex, the age of consent. But come on, you're not gonna let somebody drink responsibly. It is legal for you to drink like as much as you want, and do it at home. So just education and more freedom. I want to expand freedom, but if we lower the age of consent, are we gonna put people at risk? I don't think so, because after all, it is consent. So rape goes on trial as rape, coercion, force, and this is not about that. We used to make people be kings like at 12, I think, and people got married, I think, back then at a way earlier age, and had kids at an earlier age. I mean, all these things that went on that I don't condone, of course, too early. That's why I'm making the number at least 16, because I had a change in my life when I was 16. When I was 15, I didn't think that much compared to when I was 16. So I had a change in my mind and my way of being. So I think I would have been more responsible. It's just something to think about. I don't have the idea clear yet in my head, but try to picture in your mind if you had sex at 16 or 17 with a really hot teacher who was 40, man or woman, men and women, regardless of gender, would you have been okay with it, and would everything have been just fine? The people who you knew who drank at 16, were they okay? Some of them, the ones I knew, they were just fine. Voting, that's a hard one. I mean, how many people are really informed about politics at 16? I don't know. In my case, not at all. But I was late. I knew people who did know about politics. So think about the state treating people like grown-ups, essentially when they want to grow up. I mean, it's too much of a coincidence, like at 18, and of course, there's such a term as jailbait. Like, a lot of girls look really pretty. They're good to look at, like at 17, and you can't deny that. And so many people are drinking. So anyway, I think I've made the point of let's try to come to a compromise where it's not 15, but it's also not 18, for drinking and renting a car too. I mean, 25, that's crazy. So let's all think about it and try to see if we can come up with the right solution, because I don't know that 18 is the perfect answer.